This is an important shirt. Hi, I'm Lucas. I felt, inspired to make a video about authenticity. This shirt's actually from my wife. She got it for me because, well, I can be silly. I can also be overly serious. And I think that she just notices that there's an authentic me, and then there's the me that I feel like I need to be for others a lot of times. And so this is a way that she gave me permission just to be me. So I appreciate that. Um, I want to talk about authenticity today because, well, for one thing, it's a struggle for me, um, but it's one that I don't mind working on, trying to become more authentic. Maybe you've noticed that my original videos on the channel um, have a lot more edits in them. And then as I go, I'm kind of relax myself into allowing myself to actually show the boring parts of the process of editing audio. Because let's face it, if you're into this, there's just a lot of time was just spent, kind of repetitively. And well, I could either try to dress it up and make it interesting, or I could actually show what it's really like. And isn't that the case? So part of the reason why I was inspired to talk about this really quick is because of a video I just watched from a smaller YouTube channel called Gen X Thinks, or Generation X Thinks. And he was talking about uh, the Gen Z stare, and he actually had some praise for it because in a way he saw that it was rebellion against inauthenticity, that a lot of us are supposed to smile. Smiling is part of the uniform, even in life with families sometimes. Um, and so it's their way of not doing that. Like not going to fake a smile, sort of thing. And ultimately, I have to say what the person in the video said. Good for them, actually. Um, so a little backstory. Actually, before that, there was something else I wanted to say. Is that he had a comment, and it's one that I've already been kind of noticing too. But he said that the millennials are going to be the new boomers, and I know exactly what he's talking about because look at who raised who. Um, and he said that the Gen Z are going to be like the new Gen X. And well, who's the parents of whom? Um, I was raised by, I myself, I'm a millennial. I was born in '89. I was raised by boomers, and so I've got a lot of that in me too. I almost couldn't help it. A lot of uh, the generation after me, a lot of Gen Z. I was raised by Gen Xers, so it goes without saying that they would kind of take those tendencies. Um, and coming from the job that I was in and seeing how most of most of the management is my age, uh, millennials are coming into their own space as being the new managerial position holders. Um, they're coming up and they're like the young bucks with potential or whatever. And at least in my workplace, I was surrounded by people who are willing to do what it takes. and they felt like it was the only way forward. So I also notice when I look at other influencers that are online, just people, uh, whenever you doom scroll or whatever you want to call it, most of them are. Well, when I look at them, they're all my age. They're a bunch of millennials, and they're all doing whatever it takes to hawk their wares and make money. And it looks like a bunch of scammers to me because there's a lot of people that are making every single shot look great, and um, just do yourself a favor and watch some influencers. Oh, what was the documentary that forced me to get a Netflix subscription again for like a minute? There was one where they made an influencer from scratch, and I don't think you even need to really see the documentary because it's going to say what you already know. Just look at de-influencers catching influencers in the wild, how much they'll pose for a single shot, or how they'll do a shot 10 times and make it just right and get the smile just right. And in a way, maybe they're even better at the than the boomers at what they were trying to do, which is also scary to me. So I'm just thankful, like thank God that like there's pushback against it, like for the sake of playing along, going along to get along. That's an awful strategy in the long term. And I never liked showing up to family gatherings and just putting a smile on for everybody's sake. I was actually kind of relieved. See, my parents are millennials. My wife's parents are Gen Xers, and actually, she, like most Gen Xers, was great raised by a single parent, single mom. It's a classic story. Um, she was born very young, so even though my wife's older than me, her her parents were younger than my parents. Um, her way she was raised was much different than me, so I see a big difference. She has the characteristics of a Gen Zer much more than a millennial, even though she's older than me. Um, because her mom was a Gen X, and she was not about the BS or anything like that. That's what they say. Um, their whole thing was sort of like, I'm gonna do me, you do you. Don't make me do anything different than what I want to do, and I'm not gonna make you do anything weird or different. Um, Stuff like that. You act the way you act, sort of a thing. So, like for instance, this is a classic story from my wife's childhood. She said that she liked to dress kind of more alternative, and so like her mom would tease her for dressing a certain way, and then if my wife changed her outfit, then her mom would tease her for changing her outfit, saying, "Why do you change just because I said something?" So yeah, she couldn't win, but at the same time, it was sort of like a very good lesson. Like you you're a fool. You're going to be called a fool no matter what if you do something different than somebody else. But you're an even bigger fool if you cave to that pressure and just be everybody else. So why would I be talking about this on a channel about art? It's because art needs to be authentic. Um, Ultimately, I think people need to be authentic, but I see the shift. I see the shift that it's becoming more awkward for people to fake who they are instead of just being who they are. And it's awkward to be who you are too. At least for me, because I was very raised and ingrained in it. And probably a lot of millennials. Millennials need to really take a good look at boomers because that's who they're going to be. Like unless they look at this, and it should be a kind of a scary thought because when I look to my left and look to my right, I see a future boomer, and they all think that they're not going to grow up, not going to grow old, like a lot of young people do, and it will happen eventually unless you die early. But I would rather see a future where people are more authentic than less, and I'm happy to see that shift actually. That it looks like people are being more authentic. They're not appreciating that a smile is part of the uniform, even in family dynamics. A smile is part of the family. I don't know if people have said that literally, but I've heavily felt the pressure from my boomer parents and the whole family because our family is mostly boomers and millennials. Um, I'm lucky to have some cousins that are Gen Z because gosh, sometimes it's a relief just to talk to them. Um, and that my wife's family it's like offset like this. It's like um, my family, our grandparents in it were the greatest generation. Then into um, boomers and millennials, and my brother's kids and some of the other people's kids are really really young, so they're going to be the alphas. We'll see how that goes. But the my wife's family, her grandmother is from the silent generation, which is in between. It's also called the forgotten generation, I'm sure. But then it's her family is full of a bunch of Gen Xers and then a bunch of Gen Z. So there's not really any of the like the closest thing to millennial is her. Um, her and her cousins because their parents had them when they were very very young. Um, there seems to be a trend in the family. That's like the generations seem to come faster in that family, but like really, I can tell the people that struggle the most in that family are the millennials because they're still trying to hold on to it. They're still trying to hold on to controlling what people think about them and caring what people think about them, and like you eventually you have to let that go. And it's really tough letting go what people think of you. Like, shoot, every family gathering is a chance for me to to welcome in tons of pressure to try to conform to people's questions, like like an interview. So what are you doing these days? What are your prospects now? And oh, I love my wife's family because they're just like, here, just hang out with us unless you don't want to. What a difference. So yeah, I thought I'd talk about that. I guess I didn't really talk about art that much, authentic art. And I feel like when you are authentic, you want to do authentic things. So for me, at least, my journey is presenting myself more authentically, just in day to day life. Um, Maybe more talks like this. I don't know. For me, the reason why I do the art that I do, the why I'm interested in the collage stuff is sometimes it forces things to be seen way out of context and you just see it for what it is. And someone like me is very hungry for that. So that's why I like collage so much, sound collage. Um, Sometimes it's a very therapeutic thing for me also because it's like I'm taking, they've carefully curated performances of people and just messing with it in every way possible. And it's almost something I would love to do with some of the performances I see from members of my own family or from influencers. And I see it with, like, YouTube poops and stuff, or just people de-influencing. De-influencers are almost in the same lane as I am. They're taking something carefully curated and they're stripping it of its context, turning it around, and then you see it and you're like, whoa, I didn't know that it looked like this from this angle. And yeah, I rather enjoy that. I rather enjoy that, and I rather enjoy how, like, even from the start of this video to now, I feel much more comfortable. But I still have it ingrained in me to over explain, to perform, to kind of sit up straight, even though I'm not really sitting up straight right now. Um, to not sit with silence. Uh, Sometimes the stuff that I make ends up being kind of like a mirror for it. When I feel too out of control, I'll try to fill all the silence in whatever I'm making, and I'm almost afraid of having too little going on in a production. And so then I listen later, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of very chaotic. There's no chance to take to catch your breath. And so that's the other reason why I think art is really cool. It's very therapeutic, and that it ends up being a mirror in some interesting ways. So that's why I think authenticity is better too. It's you can try to make something that, or be something that other people want, and there's 100 sayings on why that's wrong. Only be you because every other position is taken. Stuff like that. Um, I'm just looking at my setup right now because it's something that I really get a lot out of, and sometimes it's a long time before I touch this stuff. Like, the part of the series that I was doing was just getting myself to use my equipment again. Um, that was probably the most editing I've done, actual in-depth editing, probably in a year. Um, and nowadays I do the live setup a lot more. And the only thing that gets me to do that is me and my wife's community radio show. It's a very weak signal. I think it's about like 5 watts. Uh, to give a comparison, like, most commercial stations are in the thousands. So yeah, it's like very small. But sometimes having a commitment, even a small commitment to make something, can keep it alive at least. Keep the flame going. Um, so I might try to just do more explorations, entirely spontaneous. Um, Not trying to make anything revolutionary or groundbreaking, just explorations. Maybe every week or every other week, just depending. I like to do it every week, actually. Just throw audio into the program and edit for fun, not feeling like I have to churn out a product or anything like that. Gosh, most of the jobs I've worked and interactions and the way I've just lived my life has been that enough. Um, Fortunately, I married someone that had a different perspective and is helping me balance out on that. So very fortunate, actually. So I guess I'll end it here. It is a struggle for me to be authentic. Um, Seem like I'm even looking off screen, but um, just more of the openness that I would want is just me being open. So I do enjoy what I do. That is something that is authentically, something. Um, I know when I was younger, I was on piano lessons and a bunch of other things, and I grew to really not enjoy that. But this thing is all right. I'm doing it for me. So before I tempt myself into doing it for anything else, or views or anything like that, even while my channel is still really small, I want to make that clear. Just the goal behind this is to practice being authentic. I'm not making something that I know other people will like. Usually, I have no idea what I'm making while I'm making it, and I want to encourage other people to do the same. So, anyways, thanks for the moment. Thanks for your time, and hopefully, I'll see you in future videos. And hopefully, I'll see if you create things, what things you'll create.